I'm grateful you found your way here. There is something your mind does every single day, quietly, without announcement, without your permission, that scientists once dismissed as a waste of time. A wandering, a drifting, a departure from the present moment into somewhere else entirely. And for most of human history, this experience was treated as a failure of attention, a sign of an undisciplined mind. But tonight, we are going to discover what neuroscience has only recently begun to understand, that what happens inside your brain when you daydream is not a departure from thinking. It may be its most important form. Right now, your body is settling into the quiet that the night offers. Your breathing has already slowed without you asking it to. The edges of the day are softening. The urgency that lived in your chest this afternoon is looser now, further away. You exist in that gentle, unhurried space where the mind begins to wander naturally, where thoughts arrive without agenda, where the present moment loosens its grip just enough to let something deeper surface. You'll discover the remarkable science of what your brain is actually doing during daydreams. The networks that activate, the processing that unfolds, the creative and emotional work being accomplished in the spaces between focused thought. And understand that every time your mind has ever drifted away from the task at hand, it was not failing you. It was, in its own quiet way, taking care of you. Welcome to Midnight Psychology, wherever you are right now. Perhaps resting in the soft darkness of your room while the night settles around you, or lying quietly as the sounds of the world grow distant and small. Allow yourself this moment of curiosity. We'll journey through 50 psychology and neuroscience facts about daydreaming and the wandering mind. We'll begin by exploring what daydreaming actually is, what lights up, what activates, what your brain is genuinely doing in those drifting moments. Then we'll move into why the mind wanders, the deep purposes it is serving when it seems to have gone elsewhere. We'll discover who daydreams most and what that reveals. And we'll close gently in the healing territory of what the wandering mind, when honored rather than suppressed, can restore and create. This channel is a sanctuary. It exists for one sleepy soul at a time, for you tonight in whatever state you arrived. There is nothing to focus on here, nothing to achieve, nothing to remember, only something to gently, drowsily receive. Let your body settle now, just a little more. Feel the weight of your limbs, held completely without effort. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw release. Let your hands rest open, loose, uncurled. You are not holding anything tonight. You don't need to. Thoughts will arrive. They always do. Let them come and go without pursuit, like clouds drifting across a wide, patient sky. You are the sky. The thoughts are only weather, and weather always passes. Your heart is beating steadily. Your lungs are breathing without instruction. Your body already knows exactly how to do this. All you are asked to do is listen, softly, without striving, without arriving anywhere at all. Let these words settle over you like something warm and unhurried, like the last moment before the mind releases the day, and finally, gently begins to dream. Daydreaming is not the absence of brain activity. It is, in fact, one of the most metabolically active states the brain enters across the entire day. Neuroimaging research from Washington University in St. Louis, published in 2001, first identified what became known as the default mode network, a constellation of brain regions that activates consistently during rest and mind wandering. This network was initially named for what it did by default when the brain was not engaged in focused external tasks. What researchers found astonished them: the resting brain was not resting at all. The default mode network includes the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, the angular gyrus, the hippocampus, and the precuneus, regions involved in self-referential thought, memory retrieval, future simulation, and social cognition. When you daydream, these areas activate in a coordinated, purposeful pattern. The brain is not idling. It is running some of its most complex and integrative computations. Mind-wandering, the scientific term for spontaneous, task-unrelated thought, occupies a remarkable proportion of waking life. A landmark study by Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert at Harvard University, published in Science in 2010, used experience sampling across 250 adults and found that the human mind wanders approximately 47% of waking hours. Nearly half of your conscious life is spent somewhere other than the present moment. This is not a modern pathology. It is a fundamental feature of human cognition. The wandering mind operates on a different temporal scale than focused attention, where directed thought is anchored to the present, to the task, the conversation, the screen in front of you. Daydreaming liberates cognition from the present moment entirely. Researchers at the University of British Columbia described this as mental time travel, the capacity to project the mind backward into memory or forward into imagined futures. This capacity is, in evolutionary terms, one of the most sophisticated things the human brain has ever developed. Your daydreams are not random. Research from the University of California, Santa Barbara, found that spontaneous thought content during mind-wandering was significantly biased toward personally meaningful topics: goals, relationships, concerns, aspirations. The wandering mind does not drift aimlessly. It gravitates with quiet consistency toward what matters most to the person doing the dreaming. The default mode network and the task-positive network. The system governing focused, externally directed attention are in a reciprocal relationship. When one activates, the other suppresses. This is why focused work diminishes daydreaming, and why stepping away from focused work reliably allows the mind to wander. The two modes are not opponents. They are partners in a biological rhythm, alternating like inhalation and exhalation. Daydreaming has a distinct neural signature during sleep as well. Research comparing default mode, network activity during waking mind wandering and during REM sleep found substantial overlap in the brain regions engaged. The mind that daydreams during the day and the mind that dreams at night are using much of the same neural infrastructure, suggesting that daydreaming and dreaming exist on a single continuum of spontaneous, self-generated mental experience. The content of daydreams is processed by the brain with emotional depth comparable to real experience. Neuroimaging from the University of Geneva demonstrated that imagined social scenarios activated the same social cognition and emotional processing circuits as actual social interactions. When you daydream about a conversation or a future event, your brain is not pretending. It is rehearsing, generating representations that carry genuine emotional and neurological weight. Children daydream more frequently and more vividly than adults. Research from the University of Oregon found that children's default mode networks are more consistently active and less efficiently suppressed during tasks than those of adults, reflecting a developmental stage in which spontaneous internal experience dominates over externally directed attention. The child who stares out the classroom window is not wasting time. Their brain is doing exactly what it was built to do at that age. None of this means that daydreaming is without cost. The same Harvard study that documented mind wandering's prevalence found that people reported lower happiness during mind wandering than during focused engagement, with one notable exception: when the content of the mind wandering was pleasant, the quality of what the mind drifts toward matters enormously. And understanding that opens a door. The brain's default mode network does not simply activate during boredom or inattention. It activates during any reduction in external cognitive demand, during walks, showers, familiar commutes, and the quiet minutes before sleep. These are the moments the brain has been waiting for across the structured demands of the day. Unscheduled time in which the most integrative, self-referential, and creative processing can finally proceed without competition from the task-positive network. And here, at our 12th fact, we pause for a quiet synthesis. In these first ideas, something important has been quietly assembling. Your daydreaming mind is not a distracted mind. It is a mind doing different work. Work that focused attention cannot perform. Work that requires precisely the kind of unstructured, internally generated, temporally unconstrained thinking that only becomes possible when the outer world stops demanding your presence. Every time your mind has ever drifted, it was finding the space it needed to do something that mattered. Creativity has a deep and documented relationship with the default mode network. A study from the University of California, Santa Barbara, published in Psychological Science in 2012, found that incubation periods, times of unfocused, mind-wandering thought following intense work on a problem, produced significantly more creative insights than continued focused effort. the famous stories of scientific breakthroughs arriving in the bath, on a walk, or at the edge of sleep are not coincidences. They are the default mode network completing work. That focused attention initiated but could not finish. The phenomenon of the prepared mind describes the neurological condition in which background processing, running in the default mode network during apparent rest, connects previously unrelated pieces of information. Researchers at Drexel University used EEG to demonstrate that the moment of creative insight was preceded by a burst of right hemisphere alpha waves, a neural signature associated with internal relaxed attention. The solution arrived not during effort, but in the space between efforts. Future simulation, imagining possible scenarios, planning for contingencies, rehearsing social interactions, is among the default mode network's most evolutionarily significant functions. Research from the Wellcome Trust Center for Neuroimaging demonstrated that imagining future events activated the same neural circuitry as recalling past ones, suggesting that the brain constructs the future from the same materials it used to store the past. Your daydreams about tomorrow are being built from the architecture of yesterday. Self-referential processing, the ongoing work of building and maintaining the narrative of who you are, is anchored in the medial prefrontal cortex, one of the default mode network's core hubs. Research from Harvard Medical School found that this region shows its highest activity during unconstrained self-reflection, and that damage to it profoundly disrupts a person's ability to maintain a coherent sense of personal identity. Daydreaming is not a retreat from yourself. In a very real sense, it is where the self is constructed and continuously revised. Emotional memory integration, the process by which emotionally significant experiences are gradually incorporated into the broader narrative of a person's life, proceeds most efficiently during default mode network activity. Research from New York University found that the default mode network plays an active role in recombining episodic memories with existing knowledge structures, a process that allows difficult experiences to become part of a coherent life story rather than remaining as isolated, unintegrated fragments. The social brain, the collection of neural regions governing our understanding of others' minds, intentions, and emotions, is substantially overlapping with the default mode network. Research from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Brain and Cognitive Sciences Department found that the regions most active during daydreaming are the same regions most active during social cognition tasks. When you daydream, you are very often simulating other people, imagining their perspectives, rehearsing interactions, working through the invisible emotional mathematics of your relationships. The default mode network is suppressed, not absent, during focused attention. Functional MRI research from Stanford University demonstrated that the network's suppression during tasks is incomplete in people with depression, ADHD, and anxiety, meaning that for these individuals, the boundary between focused attention and mind-wandering is more permeable, and the background hum of self-referential thought is more consistently present. This is not dysfunction. It is a different relationship between the brain's two great modes of operation. Daydreaming is when the brain rehearses empathy. Research from the Social Cognitive Neuroscience Laboratory at UCLA demonstrated that spontaneous simulation of other people's mental states, a form of daydreaming, activated mirror neuron regions and theory of mind networks at levels comparable to deliberate perspective-taking exercises. The mind that wanders toward other people is, quietly and without recognition, practicing the most sophisticated social skill the human brain possesses. Boredom is not the cause of daydreaming. It is the condition that allows it. Research from the University of Central Lancashire, published in 2014, found that participants assigned a boring task before a creative challenge outperformed those who had engaged in an interesting task beforehand. The tedium was not wasted time. It was incubation time, a period in which the default mode network, freed from the demands of interesting external content, was activated and populated with the spontaneous associations that fueled subsequent creativity. Boredom is the brain's request for internal space. Emotional regulation, the ongoing management of mood, distress, and affective tone, is significantly supported by constructive daydreaming. Research from the University of Miami found that individuals who engaged in positive, future-oriented daydreaming showed measurably lower cortisol reactivity to stress and recovered more rapidly from negative mood states than those who did not. The mind that practices imagining good futures is a mind better equipped to endure present difficulty. And here, at our 25th fact, we arrive at another synthesis. The picture that has been forming across these ideas is one of profound biological purpose. The wandering mind is not escaping life. It is processing it, integrating its memories, simulating its futures, rehearsing its relationships, regulating its emotions, and generating the creative insights that focused attention alone could never produce. Every drift has been doing something. Every wander has had a destination. Episodic future thinking, vividly imagining specific future events, activates the hippocampus in ways closely parallel to episodic memory recall. Research from Cambridge University demonstrated that the same hippocampal mechanisms used to retrieve past memories are recruited to construct imagined future scenarios. This neural overlap explains why future-oriented daydreaming feels vivid and emotionally real, because the brain is building it from real materials, real textures, real emotional residues from lived experience. Daydreaming during monotonous tasks serves an alertness maintenance function. Research from the University of Waterloo found that individuals performing repetitive tasks who were allowed to mind wander maintained task performance more stably over time than those who attempted continuous focused attention. The mind-wandering episodes, brief departures from the task, functioned as micro-recoveries, allowing attentional resources to refresh before returning to the work. Even in the context of focus, wandering serves focus. The brain's default mode network shows a characteristic increase in activity in the minutes before sleep onset. Research published in Neuroimage found that as the hypnagogic state approached, default mode regions progressively increased their activation, while task-positive regions decreased theirs, suggesting that the transition into sleep is, neurologically speaking, a transition into intensified daydreaming, not away from it. The boundary between your nighttime daydreams and your earliest dreams is thinner than you might imagine. Positive constructive daydreaming, a term developed by psychologist Jerome Singer at Yale University, describes a specific style of mind-wandering characterized by playful, creative, and future-oriented imagery, free from ruminative or self-critical content. Singer's decades of research established that this style of daydreaming was associated with greater creativity, emotional well-being, and capacity for delay of gratification. Not all daydreaming is equal. The direction the mind wanders matters as much as the wandering itself. Relationship between daydreaming and memory consolidation mirrors that of sleep. Just as slow-wave sleep replays hippocampal memories for consolidation into cortical long-term storage, wakeful rest periods, including daydreaming, have been shown to facilitate the offline consolidation of recently learned material. Research from the University of Edinburgh found that a 10-minute period of quiet rest following new learning produced significantly better recall 1 week later than an equivalent period of active engagement. The brain consolidates while the mind wanders. Moral reasoning and ethical reflection are disproportionately associated with default mode network activity. Research from Dartmouth College found that questions involving personal moral dilemmas, as opposed to abstract, impersonal ethical problems, specifically recruited default mode regions, suggesting that the wandering mind is not only the creative mind and the social mind, but also the moral mind. The space in which values are examined, choices are rehearsed, and the person you want to be is quietly, continuously negotiated. The default mode network's activity correlates with measures of intelligence and cognitive flexibility. Research published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that individuals with higher working memory capacity showed more efficient default mode network activity during rest, suggesting that the capacity to daydream effectively is itself a cognitive skill, one that develops with experience and varies meaningfully across individuals. Before we continue, let this moment belong entirely to your body. Feel your breath arriving without effort, cool as it enters, warm as it leaves. Feel the weight of your body held without condition by the surface beneath you. Notice that right now, in this precise moment, Nothing is required of you. No focus, no direction, no particular destination for your thoughts. Just here, just this breath, just this quiet, unhurried space. Creative individuals, those who score highly on measures of divergent thinking, artistic production, and novelty seeking, show markedly greater default mode network activation during rest than their less creative counterparts. Research from the Rex Young Lab at the University of New Mexico demonstrated that creative achievement correlated with stronger and more flexible connectivity and the executive control network, that creative minds are not minds that wander network, suggesting that creative minds are not minds that wander more, but minds that wander more productively, maintaining a background executive oversight that shapes spontaneous thought into usable insight. Writers, musicians, and visual artists consistently report that their most generative ideas arrive during periods of apparent inactivity, walking, bathing, lying in the dark before sleep. Neurologist Alice Flaherty at Harvard Medical School has proposed that hypofrontality, a reduction in prefrontal oversight that accompanies relaxed, unfocused states, is a key neurological feature of creative inspiration. The loosening of top-down control allows associative connections that disciplined, structured thinking actively suppresses. Highly sensitive people experience daydreaming with particular richness and depth. Their tendency toward deeper sensory and emotional processing means that the internal representations generated during mind wandering carry more texture, more emotional detail, and more associative complexity than those of less sensitive individuals. Research from Stony Brook University found that HSPs showed greater activation in brain regions and the processing of associated with awareness and the processing of sensory detail during both external perception and internally generated imagery, including daydreaming. Gently bring your attention to your face. Notice your forehead. Is it holding any tension you forgot to release? Let it smooth. Notice your eyes beneath their closed lids. Let them be still, soft, resting in their darkness. Notice your jaw. Let it drop the smallest amount, just enough to create ease. Your face has been communicating, performing, and responding all day. It is allowed now to simply rest. Introverts show different patterns of default mode network engagement during rest than extroverts. Research from Goethe University Frankfurt found that introverts showed greater activation in regions associated with self-reflection and internal processing during rest, while extroverts showed greater activation in sensory and reward processing regions. For introverts, daydreaming is not escape from the social world. It is the return to the internal world that constitutes their most natural and replenishing form of experience. Children with rich imaginary worlds. Those who engage in elaborate fantasy play and vivid daydreaming show developmental advantages in theory of mind, narrative comprehension, and emotional regulation. Research from the University of Toronto found that engagement with imaginary companions and fantasy scenarios in childhood was associated with greater perspective-taking ability and more sophisticated social cognition in later childhood. The child lost in a daydream is not disengaged from development. They are, in some ways, accelerating it. People who experience depression show a particular vulnerability to maladaptive daydreaming, a pattern in which mind-wandering becomes dominated by ruminative, self-critical, and past-oriented content. Research from Stanford University demonstrated that the default mode network in depressed individuals showed both greater baseline activity and reduced ability to disengage from self-referential negative content, thus creating a form of mental weather that the person cannot easily leave. This is not a character failure. It is a neurological pattern, one that responds with the right support to consistent and compassionate intervention. And here, at our 38th fact, we pause at a milestone that deserves quiet acknowledgement. What has emerged across this middle passage is something both scientifically rich and deeply personal. The daydreaming mind is not a distracted mind. It is a sensitive mind, a creative mind, a social and moral and integrative mind, doing the most complex and meaningful work available to human cognition, the spaces between the tasks the world assigns. If your mind has ever wandered, it was not failing you. It was, in its own quiet and unhurried way, doing its most important work. Intentional rest, periods of quiet wakefulness without structured input or demand, has been consistently shown to enhance both memory consolidation and creative insight. Research from the University of Sussex found that participants who rested quietly for 10 minutes after learning new material retained significantly more of it 1 week later than those who immediately engaged in new activity. The prescription for better thinking is not always more thinking. Sometimes it is the deliberate, unashamed choice to let the mind wander freely, mind wandering toward positive, self-affirming content. Imagining future successes, recalling meaningful memories, simulating valued relationships, produces measurable physiological changes consistent with emotional restoration. Research from the University of Michigan found that positive content mind wandering was associated with reduced inflammatory markers, lower self-reported stress, and greater feelings of social connectedness. The direction of the wander is a lever available to you, one that, practiced gently and consistently, shapes both neurochemistry and mood. Walking, particularly in natural environments, is among the most reliable activators of productive default mode network activity. Research from Stanford University found that a 90-minute walk in a natural setting reduced activity in the subgenual prefrontal cortex, a region associated with ruminative self-focus, while simultaneously increasing positive affect and creative ideation. Nature does not empty the mind. It redirects it from the self-critical to the spacious. Let your awareness travel slowly through your body now, unhurried without agenda. Begin at the crown of your head. Move gently through your face, your neck, your shoulders. Feel your chest rising and falling without effort, your belly soft and warm, your hips and lower back releasing into the surface beneath them, your legs heavy and still, your feet resting, your whole body held. Your whole body done with the day's effort and ready now for something else entirely. The relationship between daydreaming and sleep quality runs in both directions. People who engage in positive, constructive daydreaming during the day show better sleep onset and fewer pre-sleep intrusive thoughts at night, partly because the emotional processing that daydreaming performs during waking hours reduces the volume of unfinished psychological material that would otherwise crowd the pre-sleep mind. The mind that wanders well during the day arrives at night with less unfinished business to complete. Mindfulness, the deliberate practice of present moment awareness, does not eliminate daydreaming. Rather, it cultivates a meta-awareness of mind wandering, the ability to notice when the mind has drifted without judgment and to return to the present moment with gentleness. Research from the University of Toronto found that mindfulness practitioners showed more efficient default mode network deactivation during focused tasks. Not less daydreaming, but more choice about when daydreaming occurred. Daydreaming about others with compassion. Imagining their difficulties, their inner lives, their struggles with kindness. Activates the brain's caregiving and affiliation systems in ways that measurably increase prosocial motivation and reduce self-focused rumination. Research from Emory University's Center for Contemplative Science found that compassion-focused mental imagery reduced amygdala reactivity to stressful stimuli and increased activation in the insula and anterior and cingulate, regions associated with warmth and attunement. The mind that wanders toward others with kindness returns to itself restored. The hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleep, is among the most creatively fertile conditions the human brain enters. Historically, artists, scientists, and writers, including Thomas Edison, Salvador Dali, and Edgar Allan Poe, deliberately cultivated this state for its generative qualities. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what they intuited. Research from MIT's McGovern Institute found that the hypnagogic period produces a specific type of associative, loosely connected thinking that generates novel connections unavailable to the fully waking or fully sleeping brain. Self-compassion practices. Treating oneself with the same kindness extended to a struggling friend. Significantly improve the quality of daydreaming by reducing the ruminative, self-critical content that transforms constructive mind wandering into distressing loops. Research from the University of Texas at Austin found that self-compassion was one of the strongest predictors of positive, future-oriented, spontaneous thought, suggesting that how you relate to yourself shapes not only your conscious thinking, but the content of your most private, unguarded mental wanderings. And now, our 50th fact and our final synthesis. Across these 50 ideas, one truth has formed with quiet insistence. Your daydreaming mind is not a flaw, not a distraction, not a failure of discipline. It is the mind at its most human, integrating memory and anticipating futures, rehearsing relationships and generating meaning, processing emotion and discovering beauty in the spaces between tasks. Every moment your mind has ever drifted was a moment it was doing something that mattered. And tonight, as it begins its final drift of the day into the territory of sleep, it carries all of that work gently forward into rest, into dreams, into the quiet restoration that only a mind finally allowed to stop is able to fully receive. At its deepest level, daydreaming is about one of the most fundamental human capacities, the ability to be somewhere else. Not to escape, but to transcend the immediate, to reach beyond the present moment into memory and possibility, to inhabit the invisible interior world that exists alongside the visible external one. Every culture that has ever produced art, story, music, or spiritual practice has depended on this capacity, on the human mind's refusal to be confined to what is immediately in front of it, on its insistence on also imagining, also remembering, also wondering. Your daydreaming mind is not a deficiency. It is one of the most distinctively, reducibly human things about you. There is a paradox worth holding softly tonight. The mind that wanders is often told to return, to focus, to attend, to be present. And presence matters. Focused attention matters. But presence without wandering is not health. It is a kind of poverty, a narrowing of the mind to only what the moment demands at the cost of everything the interior world contains. The full human mind needs both, the focused and the free, the directed and the drifting, the present and the imagined. You were not built for one alone, the journey we have taken tonight. Through the default mode, network, and mental time travel, through the neuroscience of creativity and the biology of emotional integration, has traced one consistent thread, that the spaces between your thoughts are not empty. They are full of the work your brain was designed to do when the world stops demanding otherwise. And tonight, as the world finally stops demanding, that work can complete itself in the most natural way possible, through the wandering that becomes dreaming, and the dreaming that becomes the deepest rest. Rest is not something you earn. It is a biological necessity, as non-negotiable as the processing your default mode network has been quietly requesting all day. There is no amount of productivity, no measure of focus, no record of achievement that makes rest more justified than it already is. Your body does not require your permission to need what it needs. It only requires the conditions that allow it. You are allowed to stop directing your mind tonight. You are allowed to let it wander wherever it chooses to wander, through memory, through imagination, through the soft and borderless territory that exists between waking and sleep. You are allowed to follow no thought to its conclusion, to solve no problem, to prepare for nothing that tomorrow will bring. Tonight, the wandering is the destination. The drift is the arrival, the shame that sometimes accompanies a wandering mind, the internalized criticism of every teacher, every productivity system, every cultural message that equated focus with value and distraction with failure is not true. It has never been true. The mind that wanders is not lesser than the mind that focuses. It is different, and difference, when understood, becomes something that can be worked with rather than worked against. Everyone who has ever lived has daydreamed. In every language, in every era, in every corner of the world where human beings have lived and worked and rested, minds have drifted away from the immediate, toward memory, toward imagination, toward the invisible interior country that exists in every person who has ever drawn breath. Tonight, you join that company, the vast, unbroken lineage of minds that wandered and in their wandering found something the focused world could not provide. You are not alone in this. You have never been alone in this. You are, in this drift, as old and as human as anyone who has ever closed their eyes and let the present moment gently, willingly go. If sleep comes tonight, let it carry you the way a river carries a leaf, not through navigation, not through effort, but smoothly, inevitably, with the patient certainty of water that has always known the way. You don't need to find the current. You only need to release your grip on the bank. And the current, the one your body has been building toward since the moment the light changed this evening, will receive you. It will carry you forward, gently, into the dark, into the deep, into the place where daydreaming becomes dreaming and thinking finally, mercifully, gives way to rest, grain. The thoughts still moving at the edges of your awareness are not emergencies. They are the last gentle wanders of a mind that has been working all day and is only now, slowly, learning that it is allowed to stop. Let them move, let them drift where they will, without pursuit, without direction, without the need to arrive anywhere at all. The river is here. The crossing is already beginning. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Fill your lungs completely, slowly, all the way to their edges. Feel your chest and belly rise with the fullness of it. Hold it for just a moment. Hold the whole day inside it. Every thought, every feeling, every wander the mind has taken. And then release all of it, every last trace of air, every last trace of effort, every last trace of a day that has now, in every way that matters, come gently to its end. Let your entire being dissolve into the rhythm of rest. Feel the boundary between your thoughts and the silence around them grow soft and indistinct. Feel your body growing heavier, not with burden, but with the beautiful, generous weight of a system, finally, completely, unconditionally releasing. Prepare for deep sleep. No direction left, no destination, no task remaining for the wandering mind. Only peace, only the drift that becomes dreaming, and the dreaming that becomes everything your body needs. If this gentle exploration of your wandering mind brought you some comfort tonight, some quiet sense that the drifting was never the failure it was named, perhaps share it softly with someone else who has been told too many times to pay attention. Someone who needs to know that the mind that wanders is not a lesser mind. It is, in its own essential way, the most beautifully, irreducibly human one. But there is no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. Let even that thought dissolve. Like morning mist in sunlight, quietly, without leaving anything behind, let your breathing deepen on its own. Let your body feel heavier, as if the earth is rising gently to hold you. As if gravity tonight is not a force, but an invitation, and the ground beneath you is not merely a surface, but a welcome. If sleep comes, let it carry you. Let it take you somewhere the tasks cannot follow, somewhere the demands have no address, and the wandering mind is finally, completely free to dream without agenda. If your eyes are still open, another video is waiting, soft, patient, ready to continue this gentle journey a little further into the quiet. But if they are closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that holds you. Stay in the drift that asks nothing and offers everything. Ret well, tired soul. Your wandering mind has worked beautifully today. Let it dream now, freely, without destination. Good night.